versus robot.
Perfect. I feel like that could have been... That was better than the theme song that's on this show. Hello, I'm Five, pseudo-robot and affordable DeLorean.
And I'm Christa, and I am an actual cyborg because I am a mix of biomechanic... What is it?
I thought you were Christa Mecha Minx, and...
I am now a Mecha Minx, but that is only
of...
a recent identity change thanks to today's topic. But until this moment, I have been a cyborg because I'm a mix of organic and biomechatronic material. And this is Cyborg versus Robot.
What's our first episode, Christa?
Our first episode is on the first episode of the 80s television series Small Wonder. Hailed by many critics as one of the worst television series of the 80s.
Of all time, I thought.
Oh, of all time?
Well, it was probably written in the 80s, so... One of the worst, anyway.
But still an influential part of both our childhoods.
Mm-hmm.
And important in the robot canon.
The first episode is called Vicki's Homecoming. It aired September 7th, 1985.
How old were you?
I was probably 11. I was
probably.
It's math. It involves math.
So that's
because you got to remember the month you were born,
ambiguous.
The month it aired, and then you got to do addition and pseudo robot, not real robot. I cannot do calculations.
So if you were an actual calculator, you would know how old you were.
Yeah, like Vicki would have known that.
Vicki would have been Vicki, the star of Small Wonder. The main character.
We're gonna talk about Vicki so much. We're going to talk about Vicki so much.
It's going to get really hot in here without your air conditioning.
It's true. Small Wonder was a television show on Fox in the 80s, and it is available on DVD from Shout Factory, and we are going to spoil this episode. So you can watch it if you want, and you can find it on YouTube. And you probably should watch it before we talk about it.
Yeah, follow along.
So you can follow along.
We'll wait.
Yeah, we'll wait. Or you can pause
22 minutes of silence.
22 minutes of silence so we don't interrupt you. Or you can pause this and then come back to us. And hi, you're back. Hope you enjoyed Small Wonder. We didn't.
We didn't. I did. I was kind of... and I watched it twice in preparation for our podcast. And I didn't not enjoy it because it's terrible.
And
which is amusing.
Funny. Yeah. I don't think I would wish it on anyone else. I don't think I would have... Had we not decided we were going to do this, Cyborg versus Robot, I don't know that I would have watched Small Wonder again.
Ever again.
No.
Okay. Well, that said...
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
All right. Well, I guess first we should talk about the robot that's in the series.
Right.
Which is, I don't know, did you write this down? I wrote this down.
I wrote down her features.
So did I. What do you have?
Well, first of all, she's named Vicki, but that's a pronunciation of her acronym.
Yes.
Which is...
Voice input, child identicant.
Right. Pronounced Vicki. And her features, she has superhuman strength and speed. And then I have that she has an AC outlet under her right arm and a serial port under her left arm. And of course she has the access panel in her back.
Yeah.
That's how you get at her. You're gonna holler at Vicki.
Yeah. And did you know that she connects to a Tandy TRS-80 computer?
Wow.
With 5.25-inch floppy diskettes and a large modem.
I did not find that out in my research.
We'll find that. You'll see that. This is interesting. So it was created by Howard Leeds.
Who's that guy?
Howard Leeds, he developed... Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
He developed the Facts of Life in 1979.
Really?
He developed Different Strokes in 1978. and Silver Spoons in 1982.
And then his career took a turn, and he developed Small Wonder.
He did.
Because I feel like those aren't bad.
Well, they were all kind of the same kind of show.
Okay.
And
as far as like the age group
yeah.
and the family setting.
So Small Wonder was the last thing he did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because he got fired.
I don't think he got fired, but I think it
that
was
up.
just the show, those kind of shows. These kind of shows.
Career, Howard. Big fan. Big fan.
I kind of I was watching Different Strokes.
Were you?
I was. It's on Netflix now.
Okay.
Different Strokes, and so I started watching a few episodes, and there are a lot of similarities in those shows, except budget. And you can tell that like Different Strokes must have had double the budget of this show, because this show looks terrible.
It looks terrible. It's pretty low rent.
It's.
I mean, maybe it improved, but it starts by.
Yeah. I was going to talk more.
Did you have more interesting things
Do you
to
know that
tell
it
me?
was Howard Leeds' second robot show?
Oh, really? What was his first?
There was a show in the 60s,
Whoa.
from like 64 to 65, starring Julie Newmar, who went on to play Catwoman in Batman as Robot AF709.
Wow.
Her name is, I think, Rhoda or something. But in the credits, in the opening credits of the show, she's called the Doll. That's how she's referred to. But she also has an access. She also has
pit access?
No, she doesn't. But she has buttons on her back, which operate her. But they are birthmarks. Like, so she's pressed these little tiny buttons, and they all do different things. But they're birthmarks.
So Howard had an early penchant, or perhaps interest, and they do actually in Small Wonder. At one point, Jamie refers to like the mannequin bits when Vicky's being assembled as a large doll.
Yeah.
So if Rhoda Robot was also credited as the doll, there's a little tie-in for you there.
Well, do we want to get into the actual start of the show?
Okay.
So it starts with, I know you want to start with the actual episode where it really starts, but there's one thing I noticed.
Where are you starting?
I want to start with the credit sequence with the song, because there's this one thing that happens.
You want me to sing it again?
Yeah, sing it again. As you sing it, I'm going to tell you what happens. So Ted, Ted is the main guy. He's the guy who invented Vicki. And he comes out, and he's sort of walking across the lawn, and there's this sign in the background that says, "You can stop." That's so terrible. And he walks in front of the sign, which says where he works, which is United Robotics, and he's got this lunch bag in his hand, and he sits on the lawn to eat his lunch alone.
That's right. It's a weird setup.
It's like, oh, Ted, you have no friends at work. You have to sit outside on the lawn.
Because he's kind of
in
an
the
outsider.
front of the
They're
building, not even out back
to
with
him
the
being sort of on the outskirts.
They do.
She's fantastic. Go on.
So, okay, and then that's all I paid attention to in the first. But it was just I noticed that, and it struck me as funny.
That is funny.
And
good eye.
Yeah, well,
because I think the rest of the clips are actually. Were you distracted by the peeking?
Oh yeah, but it's fine.
That might be when I. That's the.
That's your
Oh.
Yeah, there you are.
Oh. The other clips in the opening are taken from the first episode.
Yeah, they are, and I think they change a bunch of stuff from first episode to second, but we didn't watch the second because, really. So, do you remember how it opens?
It starts with the mom in the kitchen and young Jamie coming home from school.
Yeah.
Right? In through the door and plops down on the table.
Yeah. Jamie, after knowing that Howard Leeds worked on Silver Spoons, you can tell that they were please cast a Ricky Schroeder type. So they got this kid.
He's like a little mini Ricky Schroeder.
He sort of is, but he's
Jerry,
not
the actor?
Yeah, Jerry Superin. And he is not. He's like a 12-year-old kid, and he is no Ricky Schroeder.
No. He kind of has the hair. I mean, that's just his style.
So Jamie sits down at his kitchen table. Sighs.
I think the first thing he said, she asks him about school, and he makes some sort of remark about a man cannot live on education alone, and that's the first time you hear the laugh track.
It's totally a laugh track.
Oh, it's very canned.
And he basically says he has no friends.
He's like his dad.
He's like his dad. And he really wants a brother or sister, but he says about his parents, he's like, but I don't think you're really working on it.
Right.
So that's our first innuendo in the show.
There's a few moments of innuendo. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I know you love Joan.
I love Joan. I love her hair.
Yeah.
I love her high-waisted royal blue pantsuit. I think it's very flattering her. She's very slender.
Yeah.
And there she is slaving away in the kitchen. I think she's a homemaker. They don't reference her working outside of the home.
She is a homemaker.
Okay.
Definitely.
Official, you fact-check that.
Oh, I fact-checked that because Howard Leeds, who created the show, really felt he wanted her to be a good mom. He's very traditional. And you can tell why he's over after this show. He basically believed that women should be in the home.
Okay. So this is him showing that.
Yeah. I noticed something on second viewing about the kitchen, which you may not have noticed. No dishwasher.
Why? Is that notable?
I think it's notable because...
We never had a dishwasher.
No, but he works at a robotics factory.
You think he'd have more appliances?
I do. There's no tech. There's no tech at all.
People had dishwashers in the 80s?
I'm not sure. But, I mean, I would think a guy who can make an android that's supposed to be basically a robot maid.
But I bet Vicki could wash dishes really quickly, so maybe he's just like, we're just going to get one thing. Because she is sort of designed as a domestic servant, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are getting ahead of ourselves.
So Jamie comes home, he makes the crack about wanting someone to play with and wanting siblings, and she's like, I wish, or that they're working on it or something. And then she says, your dad will be home, you can play with him. And then we meet Harriet, I think
Harriet.
Briefly.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Harriet?
I love Harriet.
Do you love Harriet?
She knocks on the door, and do you know that she's the only person who ever won any awards at all or got any recognition for the show?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she won like a young actress, like best new performance
her role in Small Wonder.
For her role in Small Wonder,
she's pretty great.
She's the best one, and she's supposed to be this annoying kid, and we don't really meet her. She knocks on the door, says hello, and then Jamie basically says hello and slams the door in her face.
He does.
And
he's an awful, rude child.
Calls her a waste. Well, he says, what a waste of womanhood.
I know! That's a terrible remark. It's a pretty sexist show, though, so that just kind of helps. Yeah. That just helps enforce those values.
And Harriet's a total tomboy with her pigtails.
You say that. I don't know. She's wearing pretty cute purple overalls and, like, one leg's rolled up higher than the other.
Yeah.
So she's maybe a little unkempt, but I don't know if she's a tomboy.
And she's a snoop.
She's the snoop.
We're going to find out about her being the snoop.
Yeah. So she disappears. She, like, gives up quickly because I think she's probably used to having the door slammed in her face by Jamie. Hopefully.
And about 3 seconds later, who bursts in the door?
But the patriarch, Mr. Lawson.
Yeah.
Ted.
And he is quite harried.
He is. And he comes in a flurry and just walks through the kitchen and goes out the other door and has nothing to say to his family. And, and then Jamie's like, well, I guess I won't ask him to play with me. And Joan says, me neither.
Oh, right. Second innuendo joke.
We should be keeping an innuendo tally.
And then it goes to their bedroom.
Yeah, cuts to the couple's bedroom.
Here's another interesting thing. Do you notice there's no living room in their house?
They never... you never see the living room,
There's no living room. They go straight from the kitchen to their bedroom.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. No dishwasher and no living room.
No dishwasher in the living room. He is not a very good engineer. They could not afford... Except he made this robot.
He's a bit of a savant, perhaps.
Yeah.
Not that he designed the home. Maybe they just moved in. Perhaps it's under renovations. They can only establish so much. And it is the pilot episode. They're trying to introduce, things to come. So they don't get around to letting us know that there's a living room. But they do. No. They do introduce other things. So the family follows him into the bedroom. He's upset. He's pacing the room. Yeah. And he tells them... I can't...
He basically says he has this... The boss, wouldn't let him do his secret project or something like that. And then we get some exposition from Joan.
Yes.
And Joan is like, they talk about the company and they're like, I thought your company builds robots that weld cars and stick labels on cans and something else.
She explains his work experience.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, then what is it? What were you allowed to do? And he flips open this suitcase.
Yeah.
It's a suitcase of dismembered mannequin parts with wires sticking out.
Yeah. And it looks amazingly terrible. So I found out while looking up this show that they originally intended to rent this disassembled Alice in Wonderland from Disney, I guess. Or
really?
They said an amusement park, but it's got to be Disney.
Right.
And they couldn't afford it. So
they just went to Sears and stole
a child mannequin. And they just stuck some wires out its arms.
Yeah, it's pretty low rent.
It's
art
so
deck.
low rent.
Yeah.
And then Jamie's like, his hands are in that case right away. He's picking up the parts. And do you remember what he said when he picked up the parts?
No.
He says, stand back when a doll this size cries and wets.
Right. And he's like holding it like as a shield in front of him.
Yeah, this dismembered torso of a genderless little kid.
Yeah.
Is sort of creepy. He comes across like Jamie right then, if he hasn't come across as like a total weirdo creep.
Then you haven't been watching.
You haven't no, I don't think he comes. No, he does. He kind of is.
No, he has a weird kid vibe.
Yeah, he has a weird kid vibe.
Yeah. So then Ted describes that he's trying to make this. Does he call her a robot? Or does he say that his project is a robot? He's been making this thing that he thinks could like help handicapped children.
Yeah, he says he's working on a VICI.
Right, the voice input child identikit.
Which he does not call her Vicki.
Not yet.
At all. And always refers to her as it.
Yeah. He does later. Although I found say now we're jumping ahead again. When he okay. I noticed, I'll just say, when the first time that he brings her into the kitchen, he does say to Joan, do you like how she's dressed? He says she, and then he starts saying it.
That's the
but
only
I think that's almost
time.
like probably a slip in the script.
It was probably an accident.
I think they were like, no, let's just make it because we're trying to establish that she's a machine. And then they didn't actually catch that one particular thing. But that's when he introduces the family. So there he is, he's all flustered. Jamie handles the mannequin parts. And Ted asks if he can work at home on this thing.
Yeah.
And then Joan gets a little excited that he's going to be around the house more often, and she won't have to wonder about what doll he's working on late at night.
Oh, right, and that's
unless the wedding joke is some kind of.
I don't think that's a sexual innuendo. It's just
depending on
a weird. Yeah, I guess it's just a weird little joke. And then they do what I think is probably the creepiest, weirdest cut in this show. Where they cut to... It's our first view of Tiffany Brissett, who plays Vicki. Who plays Vicki, the robot little girl. Mm-hmm. And she is... The robotess. And she's lying on her back at a hope chest at the end of the bed.
Yep.
With would you say your legs are splayed? Is that the term?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't want
weird.
to. I don't want to say that.
And she's wearing this weird little outfit.
Little French-made, costume.
Yeah.
But red.
With, school, white knee-high socks.
Yeah.
And, Mary Jane's, I guess.
Yeah, so kind of French-made, but then also really childlike.
French-made meets schoolgirl.
Yeah.
Lovely. And he's touching her tenderly, kind of inspecting her. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to his Tandy computer.
Right.
And,
and he puts in some commands.
He puts in 3 commands. Do you know the commands?
I do know the commands. They are blink. No? No, shit.
Blink eyes.
Blink eyes.
Yeah.
And she blinks one at a time.
Yeah.
And it's wiggle nose. And then there's the horrible special effect of, her nostrils flaring. It's not quite a wiggle. It's no bewitched.
Yeah.
And then he's getting all excited that it's working. And then the last command is respond to voice command. And at which point then he tells her to stand up.
Yeah, he says it out loud, and she does it. Okay, did you know... Well, you wouldn't have known this, I doubt. But it was...
Because you were just trumping me on the facts.
I'm looking this shit up.
You are so prepared. Tell me.
So that's the first time when they do that blink eyes and the wiggle nose is the first time we see the special effects in the show.
Okay.
Which are pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it is because it was the first TV show to use PCs...
Oh, really?
For in-house optical and titling effects.
You're kidding.
No, not at all.
Wow. Okay. So fair.
Yeah. So
That's
fair.
fair.
So they used a Commodore Amiga 1000, which was not yet on the market.
So it was kind of cutting edge.
Yeah, kind of
for the time.
Well.
And no.
I guess if you were like showing what people could do at home with computers on TV, which. If you look at this show now, I think the production qualities are like pretty much... You could make this on your iPhone and your Mac.
Yeah, you could now.
You could do everything that they do in this show there.
Yeah.
And just cast your friends.
Yeah.
And probably do a better show. So
even a better reenactment. Anyway,
I looked this up because it's in like whatever. The Commodore Amiga 1000, when it did go on the market, retailed for $15.95. No, it's $1,595.
Okay, I was like less than a 20. Oh, okay.
And that was just the computer
Really?
tower, basically.
Wow.
What's now referred to as a tower. And it would connect to a TV, I think a black and white TV.
So this is what they used in production?
Yeah, in
wow,
production. But PC World in 2006 called it the 7th greatest PC of all time.
So the 7th greatest PC of all time was debuted, as far as its technology, on one of the worst television shows of all time.
Yeah.
So there's like record setting across the board, good and bad. So we will cut them a bit of slack on the technology. It's a horrible effect. So she, with the nostrils and the blinking, eye blinking.
Yeah. But that's why it looked like, I think when they do the eye blinking, it's kind of pretty good because you see the eye blinking and then you only see one half of her face move.
Yeah.
And it's really well done.
Yeah.
And then they do the nose wiggling.
And it was a little more complicated.
And it looks a little more terrible.
Yeah.
It's like her face didn't quite match up.
And it looks like someone else's nose. Like it's suddenly this like larger nose.
Yeah, it's done pretty poorly.
It does stand out as unusual. So then he tells her to stand up.
Yeah.
And he says, "You're fantastic." And the first time we hear her speak, she goes, "I'm fantastic." And he's totally shocked.
I know, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you built her.
Didn't he know it was coming?
You know she can talk.
I know.
Because you put that part in.
I know, but he's having like creation awe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like
it.
It seemed like the kind of like, this is the thing you made. Like,
I think he's just still surprised it worked.
I think he's surprised. Oh, yeah, okay, sure, he's surprised it worked. All right. You are giving this show way more credit than I do, but that's okay.
You're right. I am.
Yeah.
Cut to, I think, the kitchen again. The
there
dishwasher
are no other
kitchen.
rooms.
There's no other rooms.
We've not seen any other rooms in the house.
You're right. Not yet. You're right.
There are 2 sets.
And he comes into the kitchen, and there's the joke about dinner, and he's too excited. He says he can't eat. And he wants to introduce them to Vicki.
Right.
And she walks in. And that's when he asks Joan if Joan likes how she's dressed, which is the like slip up of referring to her as a person. And from then on, he only says it.
Right.
And she says something about like it's like having another child in the house.
Yeah.
And Jamie gets up and is surprised.
Yeah. And he smells her.
He smells her?
Yeah. He like says she feels like a girl and she smells like a girl.
He smells like a girl. And Ted says, "Say hello to my family." And she says, "Hello to my family." And Joan drops the roast on the floor. Yeah. In shock.
That's when she first sees her.
That's when oh, you're right. Yeah. That's when she first sees her.
But the reason she smells so good is because Ted, in his other moment of creepiness, puts Joan's perfume
Yeah,
on the little girl.
that was creepy. So that it smells like his wife, his adult wife,
puts her in this
and makes the
weird
child robot smell.
Yeah,
like
in
her.
a maid outfit, like a child in a maid's outfit that smells like his wife.
It was designed to be basically a servant,
And who was built in their bedroom. Which I do not know. I feel like Joan must have slept on the couch while they were working on it. Because she doesn't see her. She doesn't know how she's dressed. She doesn't know.
She's known nothing.
They haven't seen her assembled. No one's seen her assembled at this point.
No one's seen anything. And he does reveal that it's been weeks. Like, he makes a reference to it being a few weeks of working on it. So I don't know how nobody saw what was going on in the meantime. That they would be so surprised as to drop the roast.
Yeah.
And then I think at that point, that's also when they establish what I'm guessing becomes a bit of a, like, episodic trope, because Jamie says he winks at her.
Oh, there's one more
thing.
episodic trope that happens before that.
Oh, what's that?
They ask Jamie asks how she works.
Yeah.
Which this was hard. I had to write this down. So they say that she works by light.
Oh yeah, the solar things in her eyes.
Yeah, her eyes are solar cells. And then they give this terrible jargon about how she works. It is quote, she works basically based on a data flow system with wafer scale integration with data pads hooked into a self-organizing systolic array processor. I don't know if any of those things are things. And then Joan says, that makes sense.
So that's her tagline.
We're
guessing that's her tagline. And then Jamie winks and says, wow. And then thus planting, I think, Vicki's probably go-to tagline, where she winks and goes, wow. And
wink.
Wink. And then another laugh track.
Yeah.
I feel like that's planting that I feel that that it's planting something. She probably does in other episodes, but like you said, we'll never know because we're never going to watch them. And then Jamie says, like, can I play with her? Can I take her upstairs and put her in my cabinet with my other toys?
Yeah.
And
can I keep Vicki in the cabinet?
Yeah, and Ted, who, like, despite his weeks of work, and you think he would be protective of this what he's made, is like, sure, take her. Which I feel is also like a weird, like, the father handing over the thing to his son.
Yeah.
It's sort of a weird
passage.
Just
like, to be fair, they have no living room.
Where else is he gonna go?
So at this point, there's no living room. Where else are we gonna keep Vicki? And so in a 12-year-old boy's room, you leave a 10-year-old girl that has to do whatever she's told.
Yeah.
In the room of a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is disturbing.
There's questionable parenting happening.
Yeah. So, do you remember what is happening in the background of this scene?
When they go to the bedroom?
No, before the bedroom. As like Vicki's being introduced to the family. Who's looking in the window of the kitchen?
Oh, yes. There's your favorite award-winning tomboy.
Emily Schulman.
Emily Schulman, who plays Harriet. She's peeking through, and she kind of, throughout the episode, is getting little peeks and seeing in the window and wondering what happens. Because as they're leaving the kitchen, Vicki walks into the wall, and Harriet is like, what? What's up with that cray-cray? And, I'm okay. Right. She malfunctions, and then Jamie pulls like a Fonz on her and just slaps her on the back and fixes her.
Yeah. And the sound that's made in the background is a record scratch.
Is it really?
Yeah.
There's some funny little
It's
sound
very
effects
high
in
tech
there.
because they're like, she's a computer. They have records inside of them. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it is her speech.
It's her speech thing, but it's clearly...
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's a record scratch. It's like a record skipping. It's like dragging across. I guess the people who worked at Fox... It wasn't Fox who did this. It was some other production studio, but Fox ended up buying it. I guess they were just using whatever was in their sound library at the time, and they were like, nah, close enough.
Right.
We can't buy anything. We couldn't afford to rent.
We're just going to have to use what we have on file.
Yeah, what we have on file.
So I think there it probably like cuts to a commercial, and the next scene is him waking up in his Mogwai pajamas, and it's 7 a.m. and he has a
Yeah.
little old school alarm clock.
Yeah.
And he gets Vicki out of the cabinet and says that it's his parents' 11th wedding anniversary. And he's 12?
Yeah, he's 12.
Oh, bow bow.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I did not put that together because they say he's 12.
And it's their 11th wedding anniversary.
And it's their 11th
so much
anniversary.
for the conservative show.
Wow.
Which is funny because at that point when he says it's their wedding anniversary and he asks Vicki, does she know what marriage is? And then the show reveals another, sort of anti-equality value where she says that it's men and women get married and have babies.
They do.
Pretty narrow definition.
I noted that too.
Thanks, Small Wonder.
And right when she gets out of the cabinet, though, he also has her pick up his clothes from the day before and put them in the hamper.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm in heaven. Something like that.
Yeah. He
It's
loves
creepy.
having the servant.
He loves the servant. He loves the slave.
Yeah. And then we see the next horrible special effect move.
Right.
Thanks to the, what's it called? The Commodore.
The Commodore Amiga 1000.
Right. And he asks her to turn her head, which, Vicki, in a moment of robotic comedy, literally spins her head on her body.
Yep. And Harriet, who's, of course,
Again,
watching
once
through the
again,
window.
Peeking through the window at 7 a.m., fully dressed, sees the head spin and is again like, what?
Yeah. And all of the rooms seem to be on the ground floor.
Right, because the windows are large and low to the ground, and Harriet does not have to even, peek over on her tippy toes.
Well, the kitchen's only, the house is only...
There's no windows in Ted and Joan's bedroom, I don't think. Maybe in the far wall?
Maybe.
But Harriet never peeks through their bedroom.
Okay. Maybe they're on the second floor.
Maybe they're the second floor. We're not sure how these rooms are connected. There's there's sort of nothing that helps you orient the layout or the floor plan of the house. So they go downstairs because they're going to make breakfast for...
Or they go into the next room.
Actually, we don't know it's downstairs.
Yeah.
Because there's no transitions.
There's no workshop. They had to work on Vicki in their bedroom.
Yeah.
So I don't know what couch Joan was sleeping in. I'm assuming Joan either slept in the kitchen, which is where she belongs, according to the creator of the
Howard
show.
Lee.
She belongs in the kitchen, so she probably had a cot.
She probably does have a cot. Yeah. Although on their anniversary morning, she is sleeping in the bed.
She was allowed because they made Vicki. Vicki's then moved to the cabinet.
Right. She was allowed to come back.
She's allowed to come back to bed, and she's clearly thrilled.
She is thrilled.
But that's before this, but because we're back in the kitchen.
Back in the kitchen, they're putting breakfast together. Vicki displays her crazy strength. She picks up the water bottle refill for the whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And so shows how strong she is, and she can pick it up and hold it in the air. And and then he asks her to take.
Well, they're making eggs.
They're making eggs? No,
This is another weird moment that happens.
There's just the grapefruit and the cereal.
Yeah. But before that, they're doing something with eggs because he hands her an egg. He's like, we're going to make eggs. He hands her an egg.
And she breaks it.
She breaks it. And he's like, we got to clean this up. And then...
Which I think just kind of... Then they don't bother making eggs. Because Harriet comes to the door again. And that's when Jamie makes up the story about Vicki being the cousin. Yeah. And...
All while the background behind Harriet is waving like a flag.
The drop sheet.
The painted drop cloth is just flapping back and forth. It's really noticeable. And it's great.
Yeah. And so Jamie does this thing, makes up the story about her being a cousin. And it's funny there because first Jamie says it's my sister.
Yeah.
And Harriet says sisters take 9 months to come. But now that we know that Jamie was conceived out of wedlock, it reminds me of my cousin's favorite joke, which is the second baby always takes 9 months and the first can come at any time.
That's great.
So Jamie was one of those.
Yep, Jamie was one of those.
And so she makes it. So then he's like, oh no, wait, she's actually my cousin. And slams the door in her face again and sends Vicki upstairs with the breakfast tray now that they've abandoned the eggs. I think they had to give up on the egg thing because Vicki could not handle their delicacy.
And we also know that it establishes so far that Harriet is the savviest person in this show.
It does.
Because it's like, she knows her stuff. Ted knows how to build robots.
Mm-hmm. And Harriet knows about reproduction.
She knows about reproduction.
And she's just got a
That's it.
keen eye. You know,
Yeah.
she knows something's up and she's keeping an eye out. She's like the neighborhood watch kid.
Yeah. I'm assuming she spies on other... I don't know if she spies on other people.
She's Harriet the Spy.
Oh my... She is. I bet that is on purpose.
It might be.
Because I don't actually think that Howard Leeds really would have had it together that much to...
Maybe it was a subconscious move. When did Harriet the Spy... With the book?
I have the book on
Okay,
my
let's
shelf.
check
I'm
the
going to
book.
get that now.
Get it now.
Yeah, so anyway, while I look that up, you can...
Right, so cut to... Again, we can't... These things saying we go. Because again...
Oh, right.
pin
Everything is
Everything
cut
is
to.
just a cut. So they cut to the Ted and Joan's bedroom where Ted is looking at streams of paper that were printed out on like the dot matrix, printer. And Joan is saying, good morning, happy anniversary. He apparently forgot. He makes some crack about who got married. And then she sort of suggests getting it on. And at first he blows her off, but then he's like, all right, baby. So they start to canoodle, and then that's when Vicki bursts into the door, and Joan pulls up the blanket, even though she's fully clothed.
She's fully clothed.
She hides her nightgown.
Yeah.
And Vicki comes in as instructed by Jamie and says, happy anniversary from Jamie and I, and then tosses the breakfast tray, the single rose, the half-cut grapefruits, and the dry cereal. Onto, although maybe we're assuming it's cereal. Maybe it's just
I'm pretty sure it's
mix.
dry cereal, and I bet from what we've seen of the budget so far, they're like, we cannot put milk in this because otherwise we have to use a different blanket on the bed, and we do not have money for another blanket.
And so Vicki tosses the food onto the bed. Jamie's waiting in the doorway. And for some reason, this really pisses Ted and Joan off.
Yeah.
And they send him to his room.
Yeah.
Cut to
what should have been an entirely different episode. Because we are 12 minutes into the 22, and that sets the whole thing.
That's the whole setup. And as far as the function of a first episode, that basically they pull it off in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
We've got a robot. The comedy, the punchlines are that she's gonna walk into walls and she's gonna take you literally and throw the breakfast on the bed. Wow, wow. And
that would have been a great place to end it.
Would have been a great place to end it.
And it would, and we've seen that their next door neighbor Harriet is Harriet the Spy, which was from 1964.
Okay.
And
so it might have been a subconscious reference to the neighborhood peeping Tom.
I'm sure now that you say it out loud, Harriet the Spy totally makes sense.
Yeah. A little nod.
Yeah.
And I think, we probably, from there, they go to get a present. They go to buy the ashtray for $4.21, including tax.
Yeah, they sneak out of the house.
At the shitty gift shop. They sneak out of the house because he wants to make it up to his parents.
Yeah.
Vicki gets locked in a closet. Vicki breaks out of the closet. But you're right, it's all kind of superfluous.
It's a whole separate
They go back to the house. The parents aren't upset about the kids sneaking out.
No.
Because Jamie got them the ashtray.
But they do have one of the best moments in the show. The most human moment in the show comes in this store,
right,
where Jamie goes to buy his parents a gift, and then Vicki follows him for no good reason, and then she sees my favorite set piece is this hand-painted sign that says last day of circus display, which I love. That this crappy little store is going to... First, they have a circus display.
Is it clown display?
It's a clown... Sorry, it's a clown...
Last day of clown display.
I think it says circus display.
Uh-oh.
But it's in this store that just sells... It looks like they just sell glassware or weird... It is not a... It is
It looks like there's maybe some games in the background or something, but
it's
two
shelves.
There's three clowns.
Yeah.
And a velvet rope in front of them.
Yeah.
Which Vicki goes around.
And they aren't store shelves. That the stuff's on display.
They're boxes with... They're painted boxes. But you're right, there's actually the only really nice moment where Vicki goes behind the velvet rope and starts to mimic the animatronic clown.
Yeah.
And has this little moment of artificial intelligence connection.
Yeah.
Where she's having a little communication with her clown buddy.
Yeah. she floats up and down with the robot, and then she just sort of hunches down.
Yeah, into a little ball.
Into a little ball and just stares at this little clown. And it's really nice.
It's a nice little moment that it seems like she's maybe realizing, or, there's like a connection between her life forms.
Yeah. And then
again, reading into it a little bit, but it's a nice moment.
Yeah. And then in come the guys to...
security guards, and then they go... because, it's the last day of the display, so the people have to come and put the clown things away, and they accidentally move Vicki.
Which they say when they pick Vicki up, oh, she smells nice.
Yes!
Second reference to how she smells. Which I love. This show is creepy.
It's creepy.
Anyways, yeah. So back.
But all of this part of the episode is other than the nice connection, the moment between the clown and Vicki, it feels really unnecessary. They go back to the house. They see the parents. I think Harriet shows up again. Ted and Joan find out that Jamie's told the story about the cousin, and then Jamie and Vicki go back upstairs to his bedroom. Jamie, I think because he's mad that Vicki followed him, he puts her back in the cabinet, and then he has this little self-reflective moment of like, why should I be upset? Or it's like not her fault. And
well, he puts her in the
cabinet with the traffic light,
but which only has a traffic light.
I know the cabinet that's been referred to as his toys only has a traffic light.
Yeah. I noticed about Jamie's bedroom.
Yeah.
He has very little toys. He has this cabinet which is a little feminine.
Right.
Which is fine. I feel
it's
like they were like
stenciled with like ribbons.
Yeah, and I feel like it's Vicki's cabinet. So somebody in the set department was like, I'm going to do Vicki's cabinet without thinking, wait a second, this is going in a boy's room. Yeah.
Because again, they were probably short on the art production meetings.
Yeah.
They didn't think that one through.
And then so he only has a traffic light in there?
Yeah.
Which I feel like was stolen from Silver Spoons.
As a child of the 80s? It was stolen from Silver Spoons.
Because that seems like the sort of thing that would happen on Silver Spoons. And he has I can't remember many of the other toys he has in his room, but he has blocks with letters on the back of the dresser.
That he kept from when he was a toddler.
I guess so, but they spell out... They spell out Vicki, I believe.
Really?
They have VIC, and then I can't make out what.
I feel your attention to detail far trumps the production design.
Well, I was like, Ted makes robots, so his kid should have some tech stuff, and he has a black and white television on his dresser.
Okay.
But I think that's it. Like, he has no other toys, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
He has what every other kid has, framed art in their walls. Not posters or anything. They have framed art and, child's blocks.
Yeah. Again, sparsely decorated.
Sparse.
And I think it was just whoever the production designer was just brought stuff from home because they were like, I'm going to do as good a job as I can, and if there's no money to buy props, I will just bring my 4-year-old's.
I feel like
we
feel. I think it's worse than that. I think the prop designer showed up and they were just like, okay, here's the budget. And he's just like, what's in my car at the moment?
Right.
It's like he maybe had a 4-year-old or she had a 4-year-old, and they were like, they dug around in the back of the car in the trunk. And they're like, well, I have this stoplight that I found, and I have these blocks that my kid clearly dropped in the back seat.
And this hand stenciled cabinet that stands in the middle of the room. It's not even against a wall.
It's against a wall.
Is it against?
Yeah,
no, it's not.
No, it's against a wall.
Really?
Yeah.
God, I did not perceive it that way.
And then
he invites Vicki back out of the cabinet, and the last line of the which she breaks down the door, and it's another whatever funny moment. Oh, and he says to her, "You've been a bad robot."
He does.
Yeah.
Which whenever I hear that phrase, I just think
the production company.
Yeah, bad robot
with the little red robot guy. Me Too, which is J.J. Abrams'
thing.
Right. Which I looked up the production company, and it says some people say that it's named after a line in the Iron Giant. because I was like, oh my god, is it named after her? You've been a bad robot. The dialogue in Small Wonder. But J.J. Abrams says it just came up in conversation. It's not a reference to Iron Giant, nor is it a reference to Small Wonder.
Okay.
And then Jamie sighs and says, like, I'm going to have nothing but trouble from you. And she says, trouble. And then
wink.
Wink. And then the freeze frame. And that's where it ends and sets up for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
There are 4 seasons more.
I did find
Small
out
Wonder.
that they were only, when they were first contracted out.
Mm-hmm.
This is, so, Fox was, 20th Century Fox Television was a brand new network. Small Wonder was, like, among their first year of shows. And then Married with Children... The Tracy Ullman Show, which had The Simpsons. On Fox.
Right.
And 21 Jump Street.
Oh.
So, it totally makes sense that Small Wonder...
It was part of their humble beginnings.
Yeah, didn't fit with what the
in the more groundbreaking television that Fox was then developing.
And like Small Wonder was doing well. Like, they still had 8 million viewers.
Really?
Or like
At the end?
7 million viewers were still watching the show.
Good? I feel like that's sort of, that kind of show, there's sort of, like, maybe the preteen audience, like, I feel it's the kind of thing you just, like, that age group who just watches a lot of television.
Yeah.
Just happen to watch. Or you can watch it with your parents or whatever. I mean, I feel like it's the kind of thing that was just on. And maybe that's why...
I think it would now fit with stuff like Nickelodeon.
Right. Yeah. It's that kind of... It's totally that.
Like... do you have any more like tidbits about the show which were interesting?
I didn't find... I'm basically blown away by all the tidbits you already have, so I've got nothing. Although, well, you've got more.
I do. I have way more.
Oh, don't peek at my notes. You do have way more. You found a lot of amazing sort of like offshoots and like the band and other songs.
I did. I did find people were so influenced by this. There's a couple of bands out there. One called the Small Wonder Experience. Mm-hmm. Who there's like, you can do a search and you will find this blues version
of the Small Wonder Experience.
Of the Small Wonder theme.
Singing the Small Wonder theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like an 8-minute blues.
Yeah.
At an open mic.
Which
awesome.
Is crazy. But I found this other one, which I love. I'm going to read this whole one because it's written by Michelle, and she discovered the show, I guess, she said when she was going to middle school, but she wrote this in 2003 on the message board, and this is her post. Seeing Tiffany Brissett in tights started my job.
That is an amazing opening line.
That's the subject line. So this is where it goes. I got hooked on Tiffany when I was going to middle school. It wasn't her robot thing at first. I thought Tiffany was a knockout. Guys in my class thought she was awesome too. I liked her better when she was in normal clothes instead of that frilly red dress. I liked her best in the Robber Show with her looking so good in blue tights. Oh. I guess that's a later show. And then Michelle is the name of the person who did this. She put a picture in the photo section on Yahoo Groups. I did not see if it was still there. And she says, I put a picture in the photo section here. I was around 14, but I thought she was still foxy looking, just like this picture, even though she looked way younger than me, but was really just a year younger. So it's not like I was drooling over a little kid.
Oh, it's...
She only looks it because she's so short. I know it sounds goofy, but because she turned me on that way,
Ooh.
I started to get serious in school.
Oh, interesting correlation.
I know. I started thinking about girl bots like Vicki and how to build one. I started reading up companies and places that make robots looking like real people, like at theme parks and animanequins at malls. It got me interested in electronics repair, and now I am taking night class in mechanical engineering at LaSalle in Columbus. And I hope one day to work where robots for theme parks are built, because those same companies will also build one day real robots like Vicki. Robots will be big business one day, just like PCs, so I'm learning how now on the ground floor. All because I saw Tiffany looking foxy in Leos like this.
Oh my...
Sounds freaky, I know, but that's how my job and my career in robots happened.
I love Michelle. I can't believe that because she found Vicki foxy,
Yeah.
That led her to a career in like engineering. Because I bet it's a field, I'm guessing that that's a field with not a lot of women working in it, but that's just because most fields, that's an issue. You can take that out.
No, I'm leaving everything in.
So what are we doing next time?
Well, I guess we were wrapping this up. I want to mention one other thing that I found.
Do you have more facts?
No, this is something I found, which I want to mention because it relates to this.
Okay.
And while looking up facts on Small Wonder, I found this band called Small Wonder, which you can find on Bandcamp. And they have an album called Wendy, which they released this year.
Just this year, that's right.
Yeah, and they have this song that I really like called Until I Open My Wings, which he sings with the love of his life, Susanna.
It's very pretty.
What was his name? Did you remember it from?
We read it, but I don't know now.
Something Crawford. Hank Crawford?
Yeah, Henry Crawford.
Anyways.
It's a really lovely song.
Yeah, so he has this kind of mini album called Wendy, 7 songs, and I think it's like $6 or something on Bandcamp.
It's a steal.
Well worth a listen. And our next show is going to be about Small Wonder's spin-off.
Although before we wrap it up, speaking of Small Wonder spin-off, there was made in, did it come like 2002?
2003, I think.
2003, an Indian production company.
It showed on Star TV.
It showed on Star TV?
Yeah, in India. Star TV India.
Oh, yes. And a remake of, like a really pretty literal remake of Small Wonder called Karishma, I think. And you watched the whole episode. I watched parts of it.
I watched it. It's better.
Yeah,
it's
Karishma,
not a shot-for-shot remake.
Karishma. So, that is an actual spin-off where what we're going to watch next week, Real Humans, not so much direct spin-off, but a more recent modern play on the premise of living with artificial intelligence.
Except they have this really funny, I watched it and I couldn't understand a word of it, but they have this really funny part in the show.
In Karishma.
It is not really, at least the first episode's not really about the what would be the Jamie character. I do not know the name of the equivalent. He's not really a part of it. It's all about Joan's equivalent. And she thinks her husband is having an affair.
She's super suspect. I did, because I watched that part, and I was like, that's more realistic. That she's like, why is he not home? What's he working on?
Yeah, what's he working on?
So
it's
already,
like he says he's working overtime.
Like better fleshed out characters.
And there's not just the meddling Harriet. There's the whole next door neighbors. the parents and the kid are all meddling. They all just want to meddle in
the main family's affairs.
In Joan, we're calling her Joan, in Joan's life, and they're like, oh, I bet he's having an affair. And so
it's just way more interesting.
It's way more interesting off the
bat. So if you're interested in Small Wonder, just watch the Indian version, even if you don't speak the language, because it's already going to be more satisfying.
Yep, you can find it on YouTube. It is not subtitled, so. But I don't think that's important.
No, you can
kind of follow along.
Yeah.
And we're going to do next time
the first episode of Real Humans.
So we'll watch the first episode, which you can find on Amazon UK on DVD.
Oh.
It's available with English subtitles if you can find a way to watch that. Or
you could just stream it like I did.
Yeah. But you can also watch it on Swedish Netflix. So I would suggest that you fly to Sweden, learn Swedish,
and watch Äkta, människor. Oh yeah, actually that's probably the best thing to do.
That's the best thing to do.
Before our next episode.
Yeah, before our next episode, go just watch the first episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the end of Cyborg versus Robot. First episode.
If you were going to end it with the mention of the band, I think playing their song, I bet you could get their permission to play their song.
Well, we'll see. We'll play something. But you should just check them out. The other one.
Oh, we're still talking.
Yeah.
For real.
Or we'll end. I'm gonna put something.
Each day my heart grows fonder. So one day I'll be your small wonder.
I am the moth that grows on stone, and I am the rock that pave your road. And when you inhale, I fill your lungs. When you exhale, don't let me out into the world. Oh, oh, oh,
oh. Each day my heart grows fonder. So one day I'll be your small wonder. Each day my heart grows fonder. So one day I'll be your small wonder.
and I saw her mouth protecting her pearl, putting a scar on the symmetrical world. And I used to dream of such great things, but the moths look like leaves until they open their wings. Oh,
Each day my heart grows fonder. So one day I'll be your small wonder. Each day my heart grows fonder. So one day I'll be your small wonder. Come on, Henry, I'm not Wendy. Come on, Henry, I'm not Wendy. I am human, only informant. I'll tread lightly on your light beams, hide it inside to keep me warm. And come on, Henry, I'm not Wendy. I am human, only informant. I'll tread lightly on your light beams, hide it inside to keep me warm. And come on, Henry, I'm not Wendy. I am human, only informant. I'll tread lightly on your light beams, hide it inside to keep me warm. And come on, Henry, I'm not Wendy. I am human, only informant. I'll tread lightly
sweetness
on your light
onto me,
beams, hide it inside to
I've
keep
always
me
known
warm. And come on,
you'll have to
Henry,
do
I'm
this
not
on
Wendy.
your own.
I
I
am
was the
human,
worst
only
of us.
informant.
My arms let loose
On
the
your
one
light
I
beams,
love,
hide it
left
inside
me
to keep
standing
me
there.
warm. And come on,
Knuckles
Henry,
raw,
I'm
my
not
ankles
Wendy.
bare,
I am human, only
epiphany.
informant. I'll tread lightly
Sweetness
on your light
onto me,
beams, hide it inside to keep
always
me
known
warm. And come on,
you'll have to do
Henry, I'm
this
not
on your
Wendy.
own.
I am human, only informant.
You'll have to do this on your own. Some days my arms can't hold hold her. One day she'll be my small wonder. Some days my arms can't hold her. One day she'll be my small wonder.